Hello, welcome to today's collective general reading. As always, remember to use your own discernment, join with intention, and allow the messages to be received with an open heart. A quantum reminder, we are speaking through symbol and story here. Please do not rely on tarot readings for factual evidence. You are always encouraged to do your own research, especially when engaging with strangers on the internet. Okay. It's not exactly sure what today is going to be. I do have my handy dandy nail polish remover on hand, so I know that's going to be something at some point. I'm just going to see what's here. Where do we want to start? Okay, off we go. Something that used to be tighter, more suctioned to you, you could say, is loosening. And it's the only way that I can think of saying it is it's like you spent all of your money on a brand new wardrobe and then you suddenly lost a bunch of weight and nothing fits. And it's that balance of I'm grateful that I'm in more physical health. Like, I'm grateful that I'm doing well, and I just invested so much into this, which is now not useful or practical for me anymore. And I now have all of these needs opening back up. And it's that aspect of, do I hold on to this wardrobe hoping that I might one day fit in it again? Although, you know, if you fit in it again, that this means your health has deteriorated and the patterns and habits that you've been upkeeping are no longer of service to you. And this isn't anything to say about people's health and sizes and any of that, I know, but this is the example of something loosening. These are two cards that came out earlier. We have Coven and the Crone. And so perhaps there's something loosening. So whether you see it as, you know, what's the phrase people use? Like your greatest good, your higher good, and not necessarily to hijack into another timeline, but there's something about there's other energy out there, and there's different magnetizing and polarizing perceptions of power. And this is about you, where you want your power to, I'll say, sit or stand. Okay. Some jasmine and rose. Being off kilter. As it's this sticketh. Kind of like when you were a kid and you would put glue on your hands and then you would have these little like mini slime balls. Something of, it's already on you, it's already in you, it's already within your ability. Your ability to over prepare yourself is what has historically been your downfall. And what if you reorient that view? Okay, we're just straight channeling. I'm not sure what all of this is, but I'm following the wave. We're going with the motion. High Priestess. Okay. With the Ace of Wands on bottom. Now, when I was just about to press record for this video, I was reaching over and I was getting one of my rings, and sitting inside the little crevice here was this piece of moonstone. And so I kept it out. And something about the shape of it reminds me of a tooth. And so I was feeling like a shark tooth, like a predator tooth. Something coming, you know, like a big cat, something like that. And I also, this is a bottle of what used to house blue chalcedony. I'm gonna say that incorrect. But there's a cracked off match that I've kept in here for a while. And the long story short of it, this unlit match kept hopping between containers. As I'm seeing how this is sitting with the moon of the High Priestess here. It's this unlit fire that I will say in this story is within you throughout lifetimes. And when you, and like whatever your beliefs are, insert here, right? Do what you do. This is a story to tell. When you pass and your physical body, your soul suit, is no longer a suit holding your soul, if you have not lit this match within that lifetime, it follows you through, waiting for another vessel to hold. And you may go lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of never igniting the match. And the time that we are now in the world, again, you have free will. Everything is your choice, whether you like to see it that way or not. Not every choice is a fun choice, is an awesome choice, feels good. But a rock in a hard place is still a choice. And the choice being presented to you now, as we sit within this wave, and visualize that. What does it mean to sit inside of a wave? It's to sink to the bottom of the ocean and have the wave crashing above you, right? And then you start to sink into the sand. And there's that friction, and then you feel stuck. And I feel that I'm in an interesting position, not in terms of more than anyone else, but I'm only one person inside one body. But it's this, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, this peculiar, interesting spot of knowing what's going on, knowing behind the curtain, sensing my role, visualizing pathways of engagement, and yet it's not knowing what is inside the box with the ribbon that is being unfurled. There is this wave that we are in, and if we so choose, we can open the container. So I'm feeling this in my left wrist, a super bunch. We can choose to participate. But that is a choice. If we don't feel prepared, we don't feel called, we don't want to, okay. You can sit during this wave and you can wait for the next trumpet call, I'll say, because that's the language that's been coming through my channel. And there's this splitting off point of choosing. I'm seeing with Coven here, choosing to show up and contribute. And I am not an expert on these things, so do your own research, find your own meanings. But the crone in this deck is referring to a death process that I sense with more divine feminine, potentially leading to igniting a flame of Hecate inside you. But do you have the key? Okay. Is it not this deck? Okay. We're gonna get, I'm hearing that it's gonna be some of the words from the Voyager Tarot. It would be a card without a word, but it's the sun. And there's also something about these cards are one of those, it's just too big for my little hands. The Lovers, again, so you are making this choice. Regardless of how you feel about the choice, and regardless of how you feel about your options, it is now time to harvest. This Nine of Worlds and Four of Crystals, yes, being the Four of Swords, but rest. But here it's talking about logic. And so, yes, it is about that balance with using your discernment and not relying entirety on your intuition. I'm seeing in a collage I have off to the side, it says the pleasure principles, but there's something about the principles. And harvest being, if you harvest too soon, you waste the fruits of your labor. So being logical with your decision to act within your own cycles. And knowing when something is not ready to be birthed versus when something is ready for harvest. So there may be something that you've really been wanting. And the message that I'm getting is that right now is not the time to dream through want. I'm feeling troubled with framing it as a dream. I'll say it's not about what you want, because right now you want so many things and you're diluting your own energy. It's all of that commotion is bringing so much air and wind and movement that when you try to light this flame, it will out immediately because there's too much chaos. And that has been coming up in the readings and just in like the sense of energy lately that's like, oh, whoa, man, it's just all over. Okay, we have, don't know what this is here, but we have compassion with the Three of Wands and we have the Sun. And so I'm getting that this is not about the Three of Wands itself, but it's about having compassion for nurturing, fertilizing, rebirthing our own joy, our self-confidence, our sense of self. Seeing this rainbow and this butterfly, and just so much of the imagery in this card is so inspirational. I also appreciate the artwork in this deck because it feels like some of it would be like a poster that I saw in school in the 90s. And there's something about have compassion for yourself right now, not even though, although, especially because the world looks different than it did before. And you may feel exhausted or wound up or otherwise. I'm picking up on someone's energy here. This is not mine. Fatigue, overwhelmed with how much things have changed and not being able to catch up soon enough. Have compassion for yourself. It's not a race. And okay, so this may connect with AI. And I'll use that as a blanket statement, and technology and the way that things are going. And you don't need a wallet. You can pay for everything through your phone. You want to use an app. Now you need to upload your ID so the government know. Like there, not to be the tinfoil hat conspiracist, but can we look around and acknowledge that like the government is tracking you, et cetera, right? They're preparing a database. And I'll speak this, and this is my own little conspiracy bubble, and I'm not here to say it's anything, but I'll say it and then I'll flip this card. Going back, oh, this is the nail polish. Okay. Different. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to cover her eyes. Now, this is something for you to do your own research on. I'm not saying this in terms of, this is totally factually accurate and you should take what I'm saying, quote me, and you should go and do something about it. No, I'm just a girl sitting beneath a phone, taking off her nail polish in a basement after a snowstorm, and I'm chatting and I'm putting some words out, but this is not me stating facts. If you want to insert the word allegedly in front of every statement after this, go for it. I think it's interesting. We look at those DNA test gathering kits that were everywhere. Was this like a decade ago? Was it like, I remember that it was a like prime YouTube era. So maybe 2016, 17, 15. And everyone was spitting in a tube to find out more about their DNA. And I don't know the ins and outs, but there were so many YouTubers promoting it. It kind of makes you wonder if they were being sponsored or if they were getting mass invites for collaborations and contracts, etc., etc. And I wonder, I don't have any knowledge of, but I wonder sometimes about those being funneled through the actual, I'll say, institution of YouTube. Now, I don't remember the year. This is something that you can Google. I believe it was the owner of YouTube, the CEO at the time. Was it her sister was the CEO of 23andMe? So, some family connection there. And also, at the same time, one of them was marrying the CEO of Google. And so this connects us with YouTube and Google being together. And I don't know about you, but sometimes Google knows things that they're not supposed to know. You know? And we can talk about Edward Snowden, et cetera, and, you know, I think if I was having this conversation with people 10 years ago, you get called a conspiracy nut, whatever. These days, I think that's fairly accurate to state. I don't think that's going too overboard, you know, that we're being tracked and monitored. I think that's pretty legit. And it just begs the question of, why do they want our DNA? Why do they want that so bad? As we hit 20 minutes, this clarity of a question. Because when they're giving us things like internet, like chat GPT, like the ability to spit in a tube and then find out a fun fact about an ancestor, it's not because they want to provide a service to the world. It's because they want something. I'll say like data collection, perhaps, right? They're not giving us things because they want to provide for their customers. They're giving us things, or it's the illusion of giving us, which is in actuality for them a taking. And I don't know if this will ever be what is, but I'm curious if there will one day be a time when the generation that was spitting in a tube, which is, I'll say, a blend of like millennials and Gen Z. And sure, are there more than that? Yeah, I'm speaking in generals, right? I'm curious if there will come a time when our generations are aging and they reach out to you and say, hey, it's funny that you're feeling insecure with wrinkles or how your body's changing, or that you're going gray and your skin isn't as bright and tight. And actually back in this lab here, I was digging out some stuff and I randomly found this tube with your spit in it. And I can actually formulate your DNA of your younger self. And if you're interested in purchasing this anti-aging, revert aging that's literally programmed from your DNA, I would be happy to sell you this service at the cost of XYZ. Now, maybe it'll be something to do with anti-aging, because don't they hate as they age? Maybe it'll be something about who, and this is me just going full conspiracy theorist, etc., because I started watching Fringe again last night. And I'm going to watch it this time. I'm going to watch this show. And something about, who knows? If someone has your DNA, someone has your DNA. It's kind of like when Face ID suddenly became a thing, and then they wanted you to sign your thumbprint, which, you know, growing up, we all are told that our thumbprints are unique to each of us, and it identifies us in the entire world. You know how many data leaks there are in all of these different businesses, and how many are leaks and how many are just they're selling your mailing list, which isn't even conspiracy. I don't know the proper terms for this, but if you do some Googling, you can find it. How, let's say you do banking with Shmana Shmi, you know, I don't know, like fake bank here. Let's say you do banking with this organization and they have your phone number, your email address, your SIN number, your social insurance number we have in Canada. Who knows what it is where you are? Your mailing address, where you are. They have your contacts, etc., etc. All of that is in, imagine like an infinite Excel spreadsheet with everyone ever's data, and that just being sold to the highest bidder. Isn't that how that works? Right? Capitalism, doing things for profit, for gain, right? Interesting. Devil's play. And so something about these two here, I'm getting the image of that being the powers that be feeling of them getting away with it and us left in the dust around. It's this, I know that we're having a collective unconscious expansion-ing. I know that there's all of these things happening spiritually, and words. Sometimes I get, is it lost or caught up or etc. in the man behind the curtain of society is shifting, crumbling, falling apart, being destroyed, rebirthed. Like, you can look around, and if you choose to look at a news article, you can see that, like, shit's not good right now, right? And there's a lot of things coming to light that for a lot of people, it's a shock to the system. And there are some people who this is not news. And to those of us who perhaps were party poopers in the past for bringing up issues of political warfare or oppression or systemic violence, colonization, exploitation, bringing up these larger structural issues to which the everyday person says, "Oh, that's not real." Nobody that I know is racist. Nobody that I know has ever caused a woman physical harm. Nobody that I know has ever had a malicious thought towards anyone. They're just a little ladybug on the earth, and they've never caused anyone any pain. And I haven't looked it up, but I know that there's these lists, and I know that there's a lot of people on it, and people are disappointed that they're on it. And again, that's the ones that they're telling you about. It's people like Jeff E., you know, there's something about martyrs who are made to be, martyrs isn't the word because it's not throwing yourself on the fire, kind of shredding your your targeted guilt of a body into a tank to be fish food for all of us to snack on, while the rest of them are outside the tank. And we think that everything that's going on within the water is all that there is. So again, I will ask, do you want to sit during this wave? Or do you want to come up to meet where the water reaches the sky? Your call. And no judgment either way. I know I get a little, like, steamy when I'm talking about these things. I think it's just like trying to figure out how to tiptoe around it for so long. And now that everyone's talking about it, I'm like, oh, okay, great. We're having the conversation. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do more readings after this, I believe. So some of this energy might come up and maybe it ends here. We'll see. Thank you for watching. If you found anything interesting, if something here resonated with you, you can leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to hear from me more often. The rest of my intro, I'm still learning how to say without reading. In the description, you will find a link to my Substack, which hosts the 444 Collective, a virtual ecosystem operating as a place to gather and explore together. Stay tuned.